Joining us is Steve Watson, who does a great job writing at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But I tell you, Steve, it's a good article you wrote, but if people just go with the headline, knee-jerk calls for army on London streets to shoot looters on sight, if the police would have just done their job and apprehended these arsonists and people day one instead of letting them do it, it wouldn't have to later come to that point. But what do you do if somebody comes to your house and tries to set it on fire, Steve?
Well, you do what you can, obviously. But, I mean, this is a big story we've got today. The police were ordered to stand back, which is what we were saying yesterday. We were debating whether, you know, the senior police had issued orders for them to hold back, and indeed there's articles out today that have confirmed that. So, you know, you've got the police standing back while these looters run riot. And then also today we've got videos of, because the police have been ordered to stand back and do nothing, we've got videos of these sort of vigilante groups springing up now, which are a very complex thing, because they're made up not only of people that genuinely do want to protect their community, and rightly so, and their families and stuff like that, in the absence of the police doing so. But, you know, these groups are also made up of a different kind of job mentality, and it's this sort of division between these communities that is what we've been talking about for so long, that we've seen come into fruition now.
Absolutely, as society breaks into gangs, and the article is at PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. This is big news. We need to get this out to everybody. But we also need to point out that the police, many times, if they can't get welfare folks to riot, they'll go out and do it themselves, dressed as anarchists. But also my film, Police State 2, The Takeover, details how this was done in the United States. But here it is. Police were ordered to stand down as London burned. Inadequate response led to call for martial law. So I see the angle that it's knee-jerk to call for shooting people, but if you had the citizenry being armed, as is an ancient right of any free man, if someone came to your home to burn it down, which is happening in massive levels, then you would have a right to shoot and kill the person trying to set your house on fire. So we see this unnatural, abhorrent social engineering system working perfectly, where you've got disarmed populations barricaded in their homes with them being set alight and the police standing down until the public begs for absolute iron fist to protect them, not knowing that will set the precedent for the iron fist to be used against them in the future.
Exactly, and we've got the other thing we've got out today is this is in the article I've written, a YouGov poll, which is YouGov is the biggest sort of pollster in this country. This poll was conducted for the tabloid The Sun, which is obviously not the most credible newspaper, but the point is it's YouGov, it's not The Sun that's saying this. And they've done a poll amongst the population of Britain, which confirms that, you know, people are demanding this sort of crackdown, this police state. We've got, in this poll, 90% of the British public want immediate water cannons on the street, shooting people with high-velocity water jets. 78% want tear gas. 72% want police to start tasering people indiscriminately. 84% want mounted police on horses. 65% want plastic bullets. 82% want curfews. 77% of the population want the army on the street. And a third, 1 in 3 people want the army or the police to start using live ammunition indiscriminately to sort of instant justice against these rioters. So this is what I'm talking about in this article, this kind of knee-jerk reaction to this what essentially is, for most cases, obviously not in the cases of the buildings that have been burnt and everything, but in most cases it is just kids burning bins in the street. It's just, that is a complete overreaction to it, and it gives you an idea of how dangerous and close we are to sort of having these things implemented, because we've got MPs and MEPs also calling for the army on the streets. So you've got, you know, a large portion of the population calling for it, and them being sort of backed up by MPs on the news, then I think things are getting a little bit dangerously close here.
Well, yeah, it is getting dangerous because people's houses are getting burned down. So in the larger spectrum, we know it's staged. The police stood down. They won't get in trouble. They'll get medals for this. Then the public gets scared, and people like Member of Parliament Roger Helmer comes out and says, quote, "Time to get tough, bring in the army, shoot looters and arsonists on sight." Then when he got attacked for that, he said, "Let's try water cannon, plastic rounds first. But if the police lose control completely, tougher measures are called for." Well, let me ask you this question, Steve. Because the police have stood down, obviously so the president can be set for martial law, what are citizens supposed to do as these hooligans come around robbing, stealing, raping, burning? I mean, we had 3 vigilantes trying to protect their businesses, as they're called last night, run over and murdered by the looters. So what about the looters' violence? We have this unnatural event of millions of people not allowed to defend themselves, the police standing down with their wicked social engineer masters. And again, I don't know how often you listen, Steve, but I've been harping on this for years. Global collapse, public not allowed to defend themselves, looting running rampant. Then the public finally relinquishes all liberties to the superstate to protect them. Giant crackdown on entire population. That's how it works here.
Right, so what you're asking me, what are people supposed to do to stop that?
Absolutely. The only hope would be that vigilantes would go out and face these people down and deal with them and drive them back into the welfare warrens, or it's going to continue. And that's why the British media is demonizing anybody protecting their shop, you know, with a baseball bat, even as they're run over with cars, because they want this to get out of hand. But see, the natural response is happening to any red-blooded man that sees people running around, pulling folks out of cars and burning down businesses and houses. Any red-blooded person wants to go out instinctively and face these people down. It's an ancient instinct that if there's ravaging looters and plunderers coming through the countryside, that men would just get together and go out and face them down. That's the beginning of civilization. And so through globalism, we're seeing the post-industrial, post-civilized world.
Yeah, that's the natural reaction, but then I think it's more complex than that in this case, because you've got the police standing back doing nothing, and then you've got a certain portion of people who do want to do that, who do genuinely want to get out there and protect their property and their families. But you've also got a certain group of people who are just going along the, you know, the sort of gang division mentality, who are just, in many ways, just as bad as these rioters. They just want to get out there and smash some heads.
Yeah, well, that's why people join the military. Absolutely. They want to get out and smash some heads. And as long as they're pointed at the right people, that's the way it goes. As long as those people aren't burning stuff, as long as they're not raping, as long as armies don't descend into animal activity, that's what those instincts are for. And if there's people that want to go out and if that's called gangism, to want to go out with a baseball bat and face down a bunch of other people, and if that's what people find, you know, to be emboldening to their spirit, it's a lot better than sitting inside watching it on the television and letting it happen. And I am a primitive at the end of the day, but I totally understand people who instinctively see cities burning and want to go out and face the people down. And if there's some thugs wanting to join them, well, so be it. It takes a lot of different type of people to make the world go around. But Steve, very interesting article. And a very informative article as well by your brother, Paul Watson, dealing with the fact that the police have now been caught and have admitted they were ordered to stand down. Police were ordered to stand down as London burned. It's on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. In fact, I'm going to have Paul's article red linked, Steve. But I think also the good news is baseball bats have gone on record level of sales and have sold out basically in England as folks try to defend themselves. So I think that's certainly a good idea. Steve, have you armed yourself with a baseball bat yet?
I haven't got myself a bat yet, no. I've got lots of blunt instruments lying around, though, so I can pick up one of those if need be.
All right. Absolutely. Show them some red coat British steel, Stevie. All right, Steve Watson from prisonplanet.com. We disagree a bit on this issue, but I see his angle.